What's up, you guys? Rasati here in Singapore. You guys, thank you so much. You're back here on the Night Out podcast. Just when I thought I was just talking to myself, I actually get feedback from people saying, hey, we listen. So thank you so much for all of you who are taking the time to listen to any one of these episodes, because it really does. It means the world to me. For those of you who've been here from the very beginning, you guys know it's been a journey of documenting, because for a while there, I assumed that I couldn't get anything done if I didn't have a plan. But you know what? There's nothing better than documenting and letting people know what the journey is like from start to finish. So you guys know I'm far from finished. I'm kind of only just getting started, spinning my wheels a little bit sometimes, but I'm here, I'm doing the work, and I want you to know what that looks like. So for those of you who have been following me as far as the Dear Rasati group and teaching emotional intelligence and actually making sure people are very, very self-aware and have some people skills that they can employ in everyday life, I want to update you on something. I had a conversation with a client the other day, and I wanted to make sure she understood that what she was doing was kind of spinning her wheels, even though her intention was lovely. It was loving in nature. She really wanted to make sure that the other person understood that she was doing this out of love. But I need to make this very clear. When you force someone, you get action. Definitely, you'll get action, but it's empty action. However, when you connect it to a need that they have and you inspire them, you get change. And that's usually what we're looking for, right? We want change. We want changed behavior. We want to know that, you understand what we're saying, you understand where we're coming from, you see, you feel, understand us. You connect with us, you resonate with us, and so that's why you're doing something. I can't tell you how many conversations I've had with people, whether they're in therapy with me or they're actually just friends of mine, we're having just girl chat or whatever. I hear them say things like, you know what, I wish they would just do this. And I did everything I could to make sure that they did this because it's in their best interest. But they were pissed off at the end because they weren't sure if the action that was taken was done out of love on their end or not. Now, your intention may be love, but if you're controlling somebody and forcing them to do something and it's not their own decision, it's not going to be done with love at the heart of that action. It's going to be done because, you know what, I just need to get you off my back. I'm going to do whatever you force me to do. I've done it with my parents. I've done it with my child. I just give in to whatever they ask for because, you know what, I just can't take the nagging or the constant complaining. I'll get you off my back. I'll just do what you ask for. But that doesn't mean I understood why they were asking me, what the intention was behind asking me. I don't understand that it may or may not be in my best interest. We never had a discussion. It was never my choice. I was backed into a corner and I did what I had to do just to get out of the corner, basically, right? But when it comes to love, when it comes to strengthening a friendship, strengthening a romantic relationship, strengthening a parent-child bond, strengthening teamwork within a work environment or a school environment, you need to let the other person know what it is that you want ultimately. Yeah, maybe you want them to just listen and do what you say because you have years of experience. I get it. But they also have a perspective that doesn't come from years of experience, and that is also valuable. Let me give an example. There have been so many times where I have been more excited about joining from the bottom, as in like a regular employee rather than going to middle management like a team leader or a supervisor or any of those things. I've been more excited about going in at the bottom because there's less pressure for me, right? But also that means I come into it with no, preconceived notions, no old habits. I can come into it with a brand new an outlook and learn what it is that you need from me, as in understand your company or your school or your family's own dynamic and culture. And then once I've observed and understood, I can give you my opinion, my 2 cents, right? So I feel good about that. I like coming in at the bottom with no preconceived notions, no old habits that I need to undo and relearn, okay? But I also understand when someone comes into middle or upper management, they come in with years and years of experience. It's why they were hired in the first place. And maybe you've gotten to a point where you are so efficient that you might be able to influence our culture, the office's culture, in such a way that you can make it more streamlined, less extraneous activities, less busy work. You just get to the heart of the matter and you get the job done, right? But the point is, I can't force the manager to understand us, and they can't force us to understand them. You can only inspire the change, but that takes a lot of communication. I don't think people understand that yet. Let me give you another example. I watched the girlfriends around me in college a lot. It was my very first boyfriend experience. I have never dated before college, and I was watching to see how people treated each other Because what do I know about dating culture? I'm Indian. I was raised in the West. I'm the only girl. My mom didn't let me wear shorts ever. I mean, I had other things I was worried about. So when I got to college, suddenly free reign, here we come, and I got to date. And when I was with this person, obviously it was the first time ever, so I was trying really hard to give them freedom enough to want to be with me so that I wasn't controlling them. They didn't feel like they had to be around me. I wanted it to be their choice. That was my understanding. But as I watched the people around me, I realized that people would do things like manipulate details so that they got what they wanted instead. They would stop their boyfriends from going out and partying. They would forever be clinging to the boyfriend, or they would always be in their rooms. They insisted that the boyfriend check in with them all the time so they knew exactly who they were with or where they were or what time, whatever. It was a lot of details. But for me, I understood from my own background that if I were to live that kind of a life, if I were to create that kind of control in the relationship itself, I would later on start wondering whether or not they really did love me or they were just placating me. They were just playing along so that I would stop bugging them. And that's not the kind of self-doubt I wanted to create at all. I wanted to make sure that whatever it was, whether I was right or wrong, that they were with me of their own accord. I didn't want them to feel like they were obligated. I didn't want them to feel like they had to check in with me. I tried to create that because I don't want to question later whether they were doing it because they wanted to or they were doing it because I told them they had to. Does that make sense? I would question the love at that point. But people don't seem to understand that. So I tried, and they weren't used to my kind of love, so of course they fucked that up. But that's another story entirely. What I want to show you is the fact that in order to create inspiration, in order to resonate with someone or connect to one of their needs, right? Maybe they need to feel important. Maybe they need human connection. Maybe they need certainty in their life. Maybe they need variety in their life. Maybe they need as many outlets as possible for growth and expansion and the spiritual capacity to consider many perspectives. Whatever their need is, right? I needed to discover that for myself so I could relay the information in such a way that they would understand where I was coming from. Or if they felt like I still wasn't coming from a good place, we could at least have a discussion and I could see where the error of my ways was, right? But if you really think about it, to force someone into an action, it becomes very empty, right? And I feel like whenever you force someone to do something, as in like you give them an ultimatum, it comes from a place of fear, not a place from love. I hate to say this, but my grandmother used to say this all the time. And I want to requote it. She used to say, leave them alone and they will come home wagging their tails behind them because they have the freedom to do so. If I force them to have to respond to me, if I force them into, tweeting me back or texting me back or calling me back, coming to see me at a specific time, it's almost like I'm demanding. And that is not love to me. I can set the expectation. I can definitely tell them, hey, I would like for you to be a permanent part of my life. I would like to hear from you daily. But I also understand that your life is your own. You have your own set of commitments and your own responsibilities you need to manage. And if you can't, I understand. But I'm letting you know, I like hearing from you. I would like to continue hearing from you. But it's up to you to do what you can with that, which means they have space for their own mental health and their own mental growth, right? Their emotional growth. On the other hand, if I can get to know what your dreams and goals are, even in as odd a situation as an office environment, right? Even if I'm not the team leader, I can begin to pull together a very cohesive feeling within a team just by understanding who my players are, what they want for their own lives, and how I can tie my goals for the team to their dreams, and they will see the benefit in actually being able to work together as a team. Now, this is something I teach in all of my corporate classes where I actually do workshops for team building, for salespeople, for marketing people, whatever the case is. I've done this before, and I've done this in my own teams. When I worked for Wyndham Worldwide in the US, it was a timeshare team, and I was the marketing coordinator. That's the job that I started off as. It was like $12 an hour back then, right? And that was that was a step up for me because I went from $10 an hour to $12 and $2 an hour. That's a lot of money back then. I went from being just a measly coordinator, which means I just relayed whatever the director of marketing needed to the various teams in the building, to running 5 different teams, 5 different departments. I ran special events and dinner parties. I ran what was it? Gosh, the front desk, the manifest team, and marketing as well, which means I had to do all of the growth projections and the marketing projections for the sales teams based on previous years. I did all of that, okay? Which means I understood the dynamic and the culture of that company so well that I knew how to inspire change and how to lead them so that they felt like they were getting something out of the work and they were meeting their goals at the same time. I taught them how to maximize their payrolls. It was a commission-based payroll because I did the payroll. I understood it well enough where I could explain it to the community marketing agents, and they would understand what they needed to make extra money if they needed to, right? Depending on what their needs were, what their goals were in their personal lives. So take it from me, right? That was one example. Let me give you another. I worked at the samples department in Lumber Liquidators, which is a flooring company. I knew nothing about flooring, okay? Bamboo flooring, cork flooring, which if I ever have a chance to get my own house, I'm getting cork. It's antimicrobial and it's soft, okay? So that's what I want, but that's a side note. I came in as a data entry agent, as a temp, right? And I got a chance to look at all of the data, just inputting from one old program to a new program. And from there, I became an agent of change for an SAP changeover, which I'd never seen SAP before in my life. It's a German program, right? But I knew the ins and outs of this program so well that I was hired then to work 24-hour shifts to be able to teach the people who are existing in the company how to use this new program because my mind was pliable enough to understand how both could be helpful, right? So from there, I ended up being the samples coordinator, right, and a senior data analyst because I understood the data so well and I learned to manage the teams. I was crucial for the samples department where I started off as just a data entry person with, just a 9 to 5 something. I ended up working 80 hours a week while I was pregnant because I was able to bring the team together and make our department as efficient as possible. Let me give you another example. I worked at the Grand Hyatt here in Singapore. I was hired on as a team lead. Even though I wasn't treated as a team lead in the beginning, that was the position I was hired for because of my expertise, because of my experience. 15 years in hospitality and marketing gives you a team lead position here in Singapore. But I learned from the bottom up and I made tons and tons and tons of mistakes. And honestly, it was the mistakes that made me the best trainer for the front desk and the Grand Club because I was the one who was given all of our new hires that had struggled past their probation period. So that I was the last ditch attempt to save their careers so they weren't kind of revolving doored out of the training program. And in most cases, I was able to keep those people on and help them understand where they were making the mistake and why it was a mistake in the first place. How to see that it was a mistake before they complete the task and actually go back and troubleshoot. So in order for me to emphasize how important it is for you to allow people to make their own choices, I can't say it any other way, okay? When you force someone, you get an action. Absolutely, you get an action because they're just going to want to shut you up. So whatever they have to do to shut you up, they're going to do it. But when you inspire someone, which means you connect to them on a human level, you understand what their dreams and goals are, and you've aligned somehow whatever it is that you need to what they want, they're going to do it because they're inspired, right? This is what halftime coaches do. This is what all of sports psychology is. So I need you to understand that. Now, if you have any questions or comments about the examples I've given you, please drop them in the comments below. I want to hear from you. But in the meantime, you guys, consider this. Don't force people to do what you want them to. Help them understand why you think it's important and then allow them to make their choice. That's love. Now, I hope this was helpful to you guys. And as always, I love you and I will catch you again soon. Bye.